So, just to continue on my last video, I talked a little bit about this whole thing, what's called playing both pillars. This video is going to be called Divide and Conquer, because I'm going to explain to you what's going on here. At least in my opinion, the best way I can understand it at this point. Like I said, I'm always learning new things, so right now this is just what I've come to the conclusion to. We're already at a point where there's every man for themselves, pretty much. People, because of this indoctrination, brainwashing, and all the other multitude of other things that categorize this indoctrinating that's been going on, this brainwashing. There's so much divide and conquer. We have men against women, we have blacks against whites, we have Republicans versus Democrats, we have men versus women, we have feminists versus anti-feminists, anti-Mgtows versus Mgtows, MRAs versus Mgtows. Everybody has now been put at odds against each other. Everybody. Alright? I'm not saying that everybody has to get along with everybody and fucking sing kumbaya and hold hands. Not at all. But I'm trying to explain to you what the strategy is, just specifically with what's going on right now. So everybody's been divided against each other. The big two things are gender and race. Right now, it's gender and race and politics. Those are always going to be the three big things. Gender, race, and politics. That's the main three topics that people like to talk about. Gender, race, and politics. That's the big three right now. And so, it has divided and conquered people because this system has implemented this in people's mindset. That there is some kind of racism epidemic. That there's some kind of thing against whites and blacks. Okay? And then on the other side, and let's say that's race, and then you have gender. Women will say that there's nothing going on and everything's fine, but men are saying that there is something going on, and we know there's something going on. But what has happened is that there's no truce. Like I said, everybody has been divided and pitted against each other, so there's no common ground reached. There's no way to fix it because inherently the system is fucked. That's how it was from the start. The whole thing was fucked. And because the whole thing is fucked, it's broken. And so what has happened is that both sides have been pitted against each other by the way that society has deemed both of those roles to get together. They say women go out into the workforce, and men are saying, some men are, they'll say, well, that's a good thing, but the problem is that it isn't a good thing, because then what happens is, where's the kids stand in this? Where are the children, if they do have children, if you do have children? They get outsourced to daycare, which is governed by the state. So the state is now coming in. You see how this all begins to, the system is broken. It was designed to be controlling you. Everything here is designed to control you. You don't have any freedom here. This is why you're in slavery. This is why that this plane of existence that we live in is a prison. Okay? And we're under a system of evil because this is how we have to exist here. And that this is the kind of shit we have to deal with. And so what has happened is that because of this divide and conquer that has happened, now because of what the news pushes, they push artificially created norms that are computer generated, and then they put it into an algorithm that spits out the information for the news. And so it's doing two things. It's passing code for people in the know, and it's also brainwashing people and indoctrinating people to think that there's really something going on to the people who don't really know what's going on, and that it's all bullshit. And so because of this, again, this divide and conquer that has happened, everybody is at odds against with each other, so you can't trust anybody. If you're a content provider, you're always going to get some kind of shit, and nobody can ever just take the information, take the meat and spit out the bones, basically. As, what's his name? Black Ram would say, take the meat and spit out the bones. That means that learn the stuff that's valuable and ignore all the rest of the stuff that isn't. Take that information, take that nugget, and take it for you, and keep going on and keep getting nuggets. So before you have it, you have a lot. That's the whole point. That's what that term saying, take the meat and spit out the bones means. It means that, yeah, if some other bullshit's going on here, ignore that, but get the valuable information that you're trying to acquire. That doesn't happen here. So now everybody's at odds against with each other, which basically means every man for themselves. Everybody's trying to dominate, trying to control, trying to keep going, trying to, overpower this person or overpower that person or try to state their point, and then this person's bouncing back. It's dividing and it's conquering. And guess what happens? Now because of all this stuff with the racism, the men against women, and the politics, everybody is completely divided. And what happens when you get divided? Here's the thing. This is what's happened. Nobody can reach common ground anymore. And because nobody can reach common ground anymore, what happens is you become divided. And when you become divided, you become conquered. So now we're at the point where we're in between finishing up the dividing process that has happened amongst the population. And now we're now moving into the control aspect, or the conquering aspect. It's a systematic process to lead you down this road. It's a systematic process. So the dividing is almost done. We now have politics, we have race, and gender. And all the other things that trickle down from that, which would be like laws, and things how it affects you absolutely directly. And after that dividing, the dividing pretty much has taken place at this point, because now we have races against races, we have genders against genders, we have politics against politics. And like I said, it trickles down to the social media and all that other stuff. And now the conquering is starting to begin. We're almost in the in-between of it, but it's beginning on its phases where we're starting to move towards that realm. And we've already started to see a little bit of trickles of that with laws that have started to change and laws that are implemented, especially with gender and race. We see that going on, and we also see it being pushed in the news, you see. So we're starting to get down this path where the whole point of it was to basically destroy people, which is why it's called divide and conquer. Because that was its intention. Like I said, when you can't reach common ground, you become divided. When you become divided, you become conquered. And that's why all this shit going on with those three big things, race, gender, and politics, has caused people now to become divided. Now we have people on YouTube, or it doesn't matter if it's YouTube or social media or Facebook or Instagram. The whole point is that it's going on. Because it's going on, people are now divided and they're at odds, and now they're fighting with each other. I mean, I swear to God, the people at the top are going, look at them, we have them arguing over the color of their skin. Meanwhile, we are taking all the land resources and we're rewriting the laws. Send in the shock troops! I mean, I swear to God, that's how they do it. I swear to God. I swear to God, that's how this shit works. And they're laughing at everybody. They're laughing at everybody because you don't know how it's really being played. That by you doing all that shit that we pushed, we meaning the people in the know, not the people in the know, the elites that really run the show here. And the elites, I can't even put into terms what these people or things are. It's evil is what it is. It's evil. I'll just say that. The evil that runs this place, because that's ultimately what its intention is evil. They're laughing at you because they're conquering and destroying. You are participating in your own destruction. Oh yeah, the whites against the blacks? Yeah, guess what that is? You're just basically destroying yourself because, one side says this and the other side suffers. And because the other side suffers, you suffer. So you're both going to destroy yourself equally. Congratulations. And that's exactly what has happened in this country. So that's why I said it's every man for themselves. At this point in time, this is a Mgtow channel. So we know about the gender side of it. We know a little bit, some of it about the political side of it. People still want to believe in the whole notion of one president versus the other. That's all bullshit. Like I said, it's called the Hegelian dialectic. It's just there to play people off against each other. In reality, they're all working together behind the scenes. The whole big three are working together behind the scenes. You got the politics, race, and gender. They're all working together behind the scenes of people that are implementing this shit. That's why Gloria Steinem was part of the fucking CIA. They all work together. All these institutions work together. It's not just the government. It's the corporate. It's the legal. It's everything. It comes all the way down to the food business, too, because they're putting shit in the chemicals of the food that cause you to become a girl. That's the gender side of it, you see? It's all tied together. And so now they're laughing at everybody because they have no clue on earth what is really going on. And so the final note is, what can I say about it? Basically, you're going to have to make a decision. If you're a young guy out there, or if you're a middle-aged guy out there, whatever, but if you're a young guy out there, because you got your whole life ahead of you still, I do, I'm a young guy, and this is kind of why I wanted to make this video, because it's to show you my kind of conclusion that I've come to about this whole situation that we're in. You're going to have to make a decision, okay? What kind of life you decide to live is completely up to you. We know it's not a good idea to get married or have kids, because the woman is probably going to go off to get a job. And because she wants to go off to get a job, the kids are going to be stuck at daycare or at school. Because the guy's going to go work too, right? You know, people got to work. So, and a traditional marriage can't work either, because the environment is sick, and there's so much garbage and exposure and perversion going on. Women today have absolutely no discipline to refrain from participating in devious acts. And so that's why the traditional sense won't work. So you're stuck in a catch-22. Again, the divide and the conquering. You're going to have to make a decision. What kind of life are you going to live, and are you going to be willing to accept that kind of lifestyle that you have chosen, even if it means that you might have to sacrifice certain things versus other things? Because you can look down the pipeline and see that this whole shit is going to fucking go crazy soon. I mean, this stuff doesn't feel good. Something's going to happen where it's going to get to a point where we're going to forget how down the road we really are. Everything's going to look normal, but in reality, everybody's just going to be slowly, intravenously injected with sedation as they are conquered. But you're going to have to make that decision. My decision has been made. I am not going to get married. I am not going to have kids. I don't ever want to be engaged in any of those two things. And I'm done with women too, honestly. I'm so jaded by women. You know, I'm so picky with the quality of woman that realistically would be a submissive feminine woman or do not exist in this point in time. So there's no point of me participating in engaging with that when I know that the demand for that is so nil, and the shit you have to go through to try to dig through a bunch of needles in a haystack is ridiculous. So it's just not worth it. It's not worth my time. It's not worth me investing my time into doing that because it isn't available. If that was a big thing and that was all normal and women were submissive and they exuded feminine submissiveness and they didn't step out of line and that there wasn't any of this sickness and perversion that we have, then yeah, that's the natural way it should be, and yeah, things would be different. But in this case, it isn't. In this case, there's no point in seeking after that stuff when it doesn't exist here. And there's no demand for it. I mean, there's a demand for it, trust me, but what I'm trying to say is the demand is not being met. And so there's no point in me investing in a demand that isn't being met and thinking I'm going to get some kind of return out of it. It's not going to work. But that's my stance. No marriage, no kids, no women. None. I'm focusing on learning and educating myself about the whole fuck job that has happened here. And to me, I find that more important than still trying to go after a demand that isn't being met and trying to invest in it, thinking I'm going to get a return off of it. It's just not going to work. I will get no ROI on a demand that isn't being met. That's common sense. Common sense. So, decisions have to be made. You know, like I said, we have been divided as a race, gender, and politics. People have been divided, and they cannot reach common ground, which means they become divided, and when they become divided, they become conquered. And we're now moving towards that phase. We've already honestly, we're not even in the in-between. We're already in the part of the stages. Stage 1 of conquering. The laws have taken place because we have gender, so the laws have taken place there. We have race now. They're doing that now. and politics. Politics is really, it's just race and gender. Those are the two big ones, but it all has to do with three, which is the politics. Because it's all political in the end, and because it's all working together. And so now people have become divided and conquered without them even realizing it. Isn't that insane? Because you do it silent but deadly. You don't, raise hell. You do it slowly. And so one day people will wake up and they'll realize, holy shit, they'll think that the world that they used to live in is no longer there. Because things will have taken foothold incrementally over a long period of time. Before they know it, the whole thing is done. The whole thing is conquered. Every bit of, remnants of society. Like I said, rewriting history, changing the laws, you have no clue. I mean, it's insanity. And people have no clue what's going on. They have no clue at all. They have none. They have zero clue, and they don't care. Because why? Because they have been slowly, intravenously injected with a drip feeding them with slow sedation and telling them everything's okay and everything feels good. Everything's all going to be all right. As they're being poisoned slowly from the other injection. So, it's crazy, guys. We're in a mess. We got a lot of shit that especially us young guys, and also middle-aged guys. This applies to everybody. It's not just one or the other. See, that's the thing, man. It's just, we have been so taught to think a certain way. Everybody's being affected because that's the ultimate goal, is to everybody become affected. Nobody's going to become excluded except for the elites and the people that run the show here because they want to be on top, you see? And so, no marriage, no women, no kids. Sounds like a mafia saying, no women, no kids. But honestly, no marriage, no women, no kids. I can't afford it. I don't want to deal with it. And the environment is sick. And because the environment is sick, it isn't going to be a healthy... It's like trying to grow watermelons in a nuclear waste facility. It's just not going to happen. All right, anyways, I'm done talking. I'm going to shut up. Hope you guys enjoyed the video.